3 days in 1751, he wrote Candide. Never was pessimism so gaily argued, never was man made to laugh so heartily while learning that this is a world of woe. And seldom has a story been told with such simple and hidden art. It is pure narrative and dialogue, no descriptions padded out, and the action is riotously rapid. In Voltaire's fingers, said Anatole France, the pen runs and laughs. It is perhaps the finest short story in all literature. Candide, as his name indicates, is a simple and honest lad, son of the great Baron Thunder ten Tronckh of Westphalia, and pupil of the learned Pangloss. Pangloss was professor of metaphysico-theologico-cosmonogology. It is demonstrable, said he, that all is necessarily for the best end. Observe that the nose has been formed to bear spectacles. Legs were visibly designed for stockings. Stones were designed to construct castles. Pigs were made so that we might have pork all the year round. Consequently, they who assert that all is well have said a foolish thing. They should have said all is for the best. While Pangloss is discoursing, the castle is attacked by the Bulgarian army, and Candide is captured and turned into a soldier. He was made to wheel about to the right and to the left, to draw his rammer, to return his rammer, to present, to fire, to march. He resolved, one fine day in spring, to go for a walk, marching straight before him, believing that it was a privilege of the human as well as the animal species to make use of their legs as they pleased. He had advanced 2 leagues when he was overtaken by 4 heroes, 6 feet tall, who bound him and carried him to a dungeon. He was asked which he would like the best, to be whipped 36 times through all the regiment, or to receive at once 2 balls of lead in his brain. He vainly said that human will is free, and that he chose neither the one nor the other. He was forced to make a choice. He determined, in virtue of that gift of God called liberty, to run the gauntlet 36 times. He bore this twice. Candide escapes, takes passage to Lisbon, and on board ship meets Professor Pangloss, who tells how the Baron and Baroness were murdered and the castle destroyed. All this, he concludes, was indispensable, for private misfortune makes the general good, so that the more private misfortunes there are, the greater is the general good. They arrive in Lisbon just in time to be caught in the earthquake. After it is over, they tell each other their adventures and sufferings, whereupon an old servant assures them that their misfortunes are as nothing compared with her own. 100 times I was on the point of killing myself, but I loved life. This ridiculous foible is perhaps one of our most fatal characteristics. For is there anything more absurd than to wish to carry continually a burden which one can always throw down? Or, as another character expresses it, all things considered, the life of a gondolier is preferable to that of a doge, but I believe the difference is so trifling that it is not worth the trouble of examining. Candide, fleeing from the Inquisition, goes to Paraguay, where the Jesuit fathers possess all and the people nothing. It is a masterpiece of reason and justice. In a Dutch colony he comes upon a Negro with 1 hand, 1 leg, and a rag for clothing. When we work at the sugar canes, the slave explains, and the mill catches hold of a finger, they cut off a hand, and when we try to run away, they cut off a leg. This is the price at which you eat sugar in Europe. Candide finds much loose gold in the unexplored interior. He returns to the coast and hires a vessel to take him to France, but the skipper sails off with the gold and leaves Candide philosophizing on the wharf. With what little remains to him, Candide purchases a passage on a ship bound for Bordeaux, and on board strikes up a conversation with an old sage, Martin. "Do you believe," said Candide, "that men have always massacred one another as they do today, that they have always been liars, cheats, traitors, ingrates, brigands, idiots, thieves, scoundrels, gluttons, drunkards, misers, envious, ambitious, bloody-minded, calumniators, debauchees, fanatics, hypocrites, and fools?" "Do you believe," said Martin, "that hawks have always eaten pigeons when they have found them?" "Without doubt," said Candide. "Well then," said Martin, "if hawks have always had the same character, why should you imagine that men have changed theirs?" "Oh," said Candide, "there is a vast deal of difference, for free will—" And, reasoning thus, they arrived at Bordeaux. We cannot follow Candide through the rest of his adventures, which form a rollicking commentary on the difficulties of medieval theology and Leibnizian optimism. After suffering a variety of evils among a variety of men, Candide settles down as a farmer in Turkey. And the story ends with a final dialogue between master and pupil. Pangloss sometimes said to Candide, "There is a concatenation of events in this best of all possible worlds. For if you had not been kicked out of a magnificent castle, if you had not been put into the Inquisition, if you had not walked over America, if you had not lost all your gold, you would not be here eating preserved citrons and pistachio nuts." "All that is very well," answered Candide, "but let us cultivate our garden."